Ian 42 asked, Portland seems interested in trading for Jerami Grant in the offseason. People in Portland seem to think he's awesome. Can you please explain what he does or doesn't do that makes him worth $20 million a year? Look, what he does is he is someone that you can say, go guard the other team's best player who's basically not a point guard, and he can do it and hold up a lot. There's a ton of value in that. There's the element of 3-and-D to his game where even if he's a below league average on threes, he's normally going to be right around the overall league average, maybe not necessarily on catch and shoot opportunities, but you can count on him to hit open catch and shoot threes. What's been really interesting in Detroit for stretches is he clearly has more ball skills when you're looking at him, not just attacking in open space, but going at it in ISO. And it's not the most efficient play. It's not something you can lean on, but it's an extra layer to his game that he didn't plumb in Denver or Philly or OKC. And knowing that it's there, I don't want him as my number 2, but if you get into a situation where he's your number 3 or number 4, he might be more dynamic than the average. I'll say the average number 3 or number 4. I think even number 3 you can go down because not every team's number 3 is Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday. Do I think he's worth the 4-year, $112 million extension that a team who acquires him will have to give up? I'd probably skew towards no, but the league is hot for guys that do even the most complimentary version of what Jerami Grant does, where if he doesn't soak up possessions on the offensive end and then just defends his butt off and is spacing the floor or hitting standstill threes on the other side. So I get the appeal, but this is a fair inquiry about Portland where I think Joe Cronin deserves, I don't know if it's the benefit of the doubt, but this team deserves time to see what they're going to do with its flexibility, what direction they're taking it. Are they rebuilding around Dame? Is this supposed to be a quick retool? I do struggle to see the long-term vision, and maybe that's the idea, is they believe that they can take so many different forms, have so many different options. That's why they've set themselves up this way. But if you're looking at going into next season with Dame, this year's lottery pick, Anfernee Simons, do you re-sign Nurk? You've explored like some of the other youngsters on your roster. Plus, you could also maybe have a, for once, healthier Nas Little. You have Josh Hart, solid guy. You've seen good minutes from Greg Brown at points. Trendon Watford has given you some interesting minutes too. What does Keon Johnson turn into? I don't know that that's a much better situation than the Blazers had, if it's a better situation at all, pre-CJ and Norman Powell trade. And it's not even just about being slightly better. You want to have a clearly higher range of outcomes once you're moving on if you're trying for the insta turnaround. I don't think that scenario really gives you that. They could have other moves up their sleeve, though, of course. And so we have to see what they do with this year's first round pick, assuming that they're going to keep it, which I would predict that they do, even though they've already shut down Nurk. We know Dame is out. We're probably going to get to a point where they need to shut down Anfernee Simons if they don't lose enough games. So this is a really fair question. If I'm Portland, like Jerami Grant is not the answer to maximizing whatever they're trying to do in the post CJ, post Norm Powell era. I think if you want a number 2 on your team for Dame to contend, I would argue they have to be better than Simons and Jerami Grant. Like those 2 are your 3rd and 4th best players. Now you're really working with something. And Josh Hart's like your 5th best player. And Nurk is, it's cool that if you keep Nurk around and he's playing the way he was before his injury, there might be blurry lines between a Grant, Simons, and Nurk on who's your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best player on any given night. So there's value in that sort of depth, but I think you need a higher end number 2 than CJ McCollum or an Anfernee Simons or Jerami Grant. And if you were going to go this nuclear route and you're keeping Damian Lillard, which, he has not said anything, and I'm just going to default towards he'll stay in Portland or Portland will keep him until he says he doesn't want to be there anymore, which he has yet to do. I would not be inspired if Jerami Grant ends up being the most marquee newcomer from this entire operation. Jerami Grant plus this year's lottery pick. And I think that's fair to say. So that's a great question, Ian.